Nothing is more hurtful and limiting than complaining. And inside of complaining, let's include gossiping and bitching here too. So what really makes complaining so detrimental? Ciao, Bella. This is our first conversation back since our trip to Italy. David and I just returned from 12 luscious days in Italy. We went to Rome, we went to Florence, we went to Sorrento, we went to Capri, we went to Tuscany. I'm still processing and unpacking the profound impact that that trip had on me. One thing I will tell you for sure is that Italy embodies rich on all levels, rich in resource, rich in luxury, rich in love, rich in joy, rich in food, rich in drink, rich in people. The people of Italy are of the most joyful, playful, kind people I have ever met. And interestingly, the topic that I already had decided I wanted to talk about on today's episode weaves in beautifully because it's all about something that the people of Italy definitely do not do. And that is complaining. Today, we are going to talk about complaining. It is one of the most profound shifts you can recognize and make, and I'm going to break it all down for you. But let's begin with, you talk all day long. You talk to your team, you talk to yourself, you talk to your kids, you talk to your spouse, you talk to your friends. And I guarantee that you are grossly underestimating the power of the words that you are speaking. And of all the things I teach on language, which is a lot, nothing is more hurtful and limiting than complaining. And inside of complaining, let's include gossiping and bitching here too. So what really makes complaining so detrimental? Because one of the things I know as the wonderful teacher that I am is if I can do my job of breaking down the what and the why, then when I introduce you to how to make a shift, you will do the work around it, right? So let's really understand, and please open yourself, open your mind and open your body, especially if you are a mentor, a coach, a teacher in the personal development and spiritual growth space. First thing about complaining is that you are actively asking for what you don't want. You are working so diligently. You are focused. You are investing, right? You have your vision. You are working in aligned action to that vision. You are taking all the steps. Everything that you do is in the name of your next level success, right? Everything you do is in the name of feeling the way you want to feel. And when you unconsciously continue the habit of complaining, you are actively working against all of that effort and energy. Okay. So the first thing about complaining that I want to hit home is, oh shit, complaining is actually working against my success because in the essence of complaining, I'm actively asking for what I don't want, which means you're putting your focus and attention in the opposite direction of what it is you are working towards, okay? The next thing about complaining. Complaining is a directive to your mind. There are 11 mind laws. I break them all down inside of Mind Magic, which is where you evolve your identity at the level of your nervous system. And one of the laws of the mind is that it will always do exactly what it thinks you want it to do. Hear that again. Your mind will always do exactly what it thinks you want it to do. So when you are complaining, you are directing the mind to put its focus on more negative, right? You are directing the mind to find what's wrong, what's not good enough. And when you start to direct your mind that way, because, you start to direct your mind into an initial complaint, and then your mind says, "Ooh, got it. I got the directive. You want to complain and feel like shit." And because it's such a loyal servant to you, it just starts to pull up other thoughts, right, which are complaints. And then before you know it, you have a complaint, a complaint, a complaint, a complaint, a complaint, and then boom, now you're in a mood. So the habit of complaining directs your mind to focus on more negative, which you need no help with, because your survival brain is already wired to find the negative because it's out here fighting to keep you alive. So I know right now things are starting to click for you. So when you're complaining, it is not this innocent, let me just vent for a minute. No. It is actively directing your mind to root into more negativity, which it needs no help with, because the problem focus and the negative focus is part of your survival brain, and it drives you to feel like shit. Let's keep going. Complaining is a petri dish for judgment. Now, write it down, tattoo it on your forehead. All judgment is self-judgment. When you are complaining or partaking in a complaining conversation, you are inviting in and making exponentially more powerful any judgment that is present. When you are in judgment, you are in somebody else's business, and you are not at all focused on you, your own progress, your own growth. So there is a deep, deep connection between complaining and judgment, because in the essence of complaining, you are either complaining about things in your life, or more typically, you're complaining and gossiping about others or situations or circumstances. And at the root of all of that is judgment. And judgment is one of the, if somebody asks me, what is the thing that you would say is a common thread of every visionary woman that you have ever had the blessing of helping evolve, heal, and grow? It is the untethering of judgment. Because judgment is married to control, judgment is married to shame, judgment is married to guilt, and judgment is perpetuated and kept alive by your unconscious habit of complaining. Judgment also drives victimhood and third dimensional consciousness, right? Consciousness, the dimensions of consciousness, there are levels. I also deeply, deeply teach this inside of Mind Magic. Third dimension of consciousness is our lack, fear, and separation. And the truth of what's available to us is abundance and love and oneness. When you are elevating your consciousness into a woman who embodies abundance, love, and oneness, you are in the fifth dimension of consciousness. So understand that the habit of complaining roots you in. It is heavy, it is dense, it is burdensome. It roots you into victimhood, which you are not, and it keeps you in the state of survival, the state of limitation, the state of lack, fear, and separation that is the third dimension of consciousness, which then, of course, allows me to share with you, it is plummeting your frequency. Be with this. It is plummeting your frequency and your magnetism, all the things that you do in the name of, turning your radio wave into a more precise station, to manifestation, to generating, to being a creator. And then you bump your head and you go unconscious and you complain or you bitch or you gossip or you pass judgment. You are actively, again, regressing. You are lowering your frequency, which means you are lowering your magnetism. And also, bonus points. What is the most magnetic thing in a being? Our heart. The heart is the magnet. The heart is the thing that actually calls in and allows for the manifestations, allows for the elevated emotions of radiance and love and bliss and joy and appreciation. And the habit of complaining armors your heart. Be with this, because this one is big. It armors your heart because of this. Complaining is a false sense of connection. What is it that we all deeply desire and deserve? Connection. What is it that if you read any book like The 5 Regrets of the Dying, right, or anything about end of life stuff, every interview, every conversation, what is it that we desire and deserve? Connection. And what happens is because of the different levels, spaces, and places of how people awaken, the different depths of how committed each being is to their own growth and ascension, and because of how pervasive complaining is in our third dimensional world, right? We're over here building the new world. You are either a leader of it, you are a student of it. We're over here building the new world, and we understand higher level consciousness. We understand embodying love, right? We understand that as we evolve our identities, we are elevating our consciousness, which means we are opening our hearts and we are growing a more compassionate, progressive world. And in doing so, we become conscious leaders and our businesses grow and our teams become more sufficient and effective and unified. And our children become more peaceful and more grounded because now we're co-regulating something different. And our partnerships become more intimate and our sex lives become more vivacious. And all of things happen as a result of that. And even though you're here with me at the School of Becoming, we get to appreciate that there's this big, vast world out there, which is the collective consciousness, which is the, masses, so to speak. And complaining is everywhere. It is this pervasive, gross, low-level, detrimental habit. And one of the things that I've concluded through the work I've done for so long is, well, of course, because when you complain and you find someone else who's willing to complain with you or listen or commiserate, inside the inner children of those people, what is being achieved? Connection. Makes me sad because it's not real connection. It's not heart-based connection. It's not real connection because there's no vulnerability in it. There's no realness, there's no rawness, there's no exposure, there's no heart to heart. Because complaining has the judgment component, and judgment is protective in nature. Judgment is a protective mechanism. It's loving, as warped as that sounds. So when we find ourselves complaining, it feeds the continuation of the complaint because we're getting this warped sense that we're being connected with, but we're really not actually being connected to. We're really not allowing ourselves to be seen and heard. We're really not allowing ourselves to elevate and grow and expand and reach the bigness and the greatness and the unlimitedness. We're not allowing ourselves to be seen in our fallibility, to be open. Feel this with me. This is one shift of many. But as I have seen the students and the clients of the School of Becoming make this shift, because the way that I deliver this shift inside of Mind Magic is life-altering and action-oriented. Magical things open up in the commitment of becoming a woman who is actually complaint-free. What it calls you up to, the depth of the way that your relationships change. I remember I was sitting on the beach with someone. I will keep their identity a mystery. And I was enjoying the sun under my umbrella, of course. And they were complaining. And at one point I stopped and I looked over and I said, "Hey, have you ever noticed that everything you're saying is a complaint?" And she said, "Well, no, I don't really think I did." And I was like, "Okay." And I said, "Have you ever considered not complaining?" And she said, "Well, I don't even know what that would look like. Like, what does that even mean?" And I then said, "Well, what are your conversations like in your day to day?" And she said, well, my friends and I gather, or my coworkers and I gather, and I guess we complain. Like, that's just, we talk about people, we talk about places. And I was like, okay, that's gossiping. That's talking shit. Just for any of you that are unfucking clear, if you are in somebody else's business, drawing any conclusion and talking about it, you are gossiping. And that is some low-level shit that, quite frankly, your highest self does not want to tolerate any longer. And your greatness and your dreams and your frequency and your unlimited and the way you deserve to feel is being prohibited by the fact that you are still allowing what I'm going to call an unconscious habit until this conversation, because then you're going to become conscious of it, is directly interfering with everything you keep saying you want and how you want to feel and show up in the world and the results that you want to drive. So then in this conversation with her, she said, I actually don't know what we would talk about if we weren't complaining or talking about other people. And I simply said, isn't that interesting? Which is another thing that I teach you, right? Isn't that interesting? And at that space and pace, she wasn't interested in shifting, and that's fine, because I don't have an opinion about what you choose to do. I'm here as the vessel to deliver your options, and you get to choose because you are your own guru. So let's bring this back. You now understand in no uncertain terms the depth of the detriment that is your habit of complaining. And let's be in this space with our hearts and recognize you deserve to be connected to. You don't need to protect connection away from you. There's something very emotional in that. You don't need to protect connection away from you. You are whole. You belong. You are loved. You are worthy. You are fallible. You are flawed. The more vulnerable you allow yourself to be, the more you operate from your inherent wholeness, the more you will welcome, crave, thrive, love that connection. And my love, it starts with your connection to you. There is nothing that we will get from an external relationship that we do not first nurture, cultivate, and hold for ourselves. So what do you do now? Feel what needs to be felt, whatever came through this conversation. And I want to invite you to play with one simple step. Grow your awareness around this unconscious habit. Grow your awareness. Allow yourself to become aware of the moments where you are thinking thoughts of complaint, when you are actively, outwardly, vocally bitching, gossiping, or complaining. And when you become aware, you can't let the judgment judge you. We teach this as the non-judgmental observer, not the judgmental observer. You need no help being hard on yourself. So awareness is where everything begins. Every great shift, every great up level, every great new result, every great creation starts with an expanded state of awareness. And when you become aware of it, you're simply going to meet yourself with grace. You can put your hand on your heart. You can take a deep breath. And whatever your body needs to hear from you, speak it into your body. And then shift your focus and awareness from what was the complaint, the bitch, the gossip, and shift into love, into progress, into moving yourself forward, into gratitude, and watch the magic unfold. So until next time, remember, there's always more love. Mwah.